All right, think about this for a second. You take something like 20,000 breaths every single day, and you probably don't think about a single one. But what if I told you the main reason you breathe isn't what you've always thought? That it's not actually about grabbing oxygen. So let me ask you straight up, why do you really breathe? The first thing that comes to mind is oxygen, right? We need it to live, and that's true, but it's only half the story. And honestly, it's not even the most urgent part. See, the real driver, what your body is truly obsessed with, is dumping a waste product, carbon dioxide. This is the big paradox of breathing. Your brain is way, way more freaked out by rising CO2 than it is by falling oxygen. And here's why that is. Think of every single cell in your body as a tiny little engine. It's constantly burning fuel, using oxygen to make energy. But just like any engine, it creates exhaust, and that exhaust is carbon dioxide. Now, if that CO2 starts to build up, it makes your blood acidic. And an acidic system, well, that's a failing system. It's basically game over. So get this, your entire respiratory system is built with one main goal in mind: dump the CO2. Getting the oxygen is kind of like the very important but secondary prize. You've totally experienced this yourself. You know when you hold your breath and you get that desperate, panicky urge to just gasp for air? That's not your body screaming for oxygen. Nope, that's your brain's alarm system going absolutely bonkers about the toxic buildup of CO2. You feel that need to breathe long before your oxygen levels even start to get dangerously low. Okay, so how does this whole amazing system even work? Let's follow a single breath on its journey. It's like we're touring a high-tech, self-cleaning filtration plant that just happens to be inside you. So the air comes in, ideally through your nose, and travels down the pharynx, then through your larynx, which is your voice box. And see that little flap there, the epiglottis? That thing is a genius. It's like a little traffic cop that slams the door to your airways shut when you swallow so you don't choke. From there, the air goes down the trachea, which splits into two main branches, the bronchi, and then into thousands and thousands of smaller bronchioles. The whole thing looks just like an upside-down tree. And a lot of the really important work happens before the air even gets close to your lungs. Your nose is basically a full-service climate control unit. It warms, moistens, and filters the air. By the time that air gets down to your delicate lung tissue, it's been perfectly prepped for arrival. All right, the air is clean, it's warm, it's ready, but how do your lungs pull it in? You might picture them actively sucking in air, like you're blowing up a balloon in reverse. But that's not it at all. The lungs themselves are actually kind of passive in all this. The real magic is how they're moved. It's a process called negative pressure breathing, and it's something special to us mammals. Your lungs are sealed inside your chest, so instead of the lungs doing the work, your body changes the size of your chest cavity. This creates a vacuum, a pressure difference that just pulls the air in. The suction cup analogy is perfect. Let's break down the mechanics. When you want to breathe in, your diaphragm, that big muscle under your lungs, contracts and flattens out. At the same time, your rib muscles pull your whole rib cage up and out. This makes your chest cavity bigger, the pressure inside drops, and boom, air rushes in to fill the space. And breathing out, that's the easy part. It's mostly passive. The muscles just relax, and your elastic lungs kind of snap back to their original size, pushing the air out. And you really can't overstate how important this is. That vacuum seal is everything. If you get a puncture in your chest wall and air leaks into that space, the seal breaks, the suction is gone, and the lung collapses, just like that. It's called a pneumothorax, and it's a perfect, if terrifying, example of why that negative pressure is so critical. Okay, so we followed the air all the way down. Now, let's get to the main event. We're going microscopic, down to where the real magic happens, the life-saving gas exchange. At the very end of those tiny little branches are these microscopic air sacs called alveoli. And you don't just have a few, you have around 500 million of them. It sounds like overkill, but it's actually just brilliant, brilliant engineering. Why so many? Because all those little sacs create a massive surface area for gas to be exchanged. We're talking about the size of a tennis court, all folded up neatly inside your chest. The walls of these sacs are super thin, and they're covered in a web of tiny blood vessels. And at this point, it's just simple physics. Oxygen moves from the air into the blood, and CO2 moves from the blood into the air. It's that simple and that profound. But wait, there's a problem. These little air sacs are moist on the inside, which creates surface tension. You know how two wet plastic bags stick together and are impossible to pull apart? The alveoli should do the same thing and just collapse. To stop that from happening, special cells pump out a substance called surfactant. It's basically a detergent that breaks that surface tension, letting the alveoli pop open easily with every single breath. Want to see the proof of how well this works? Just look at the numbers. The air you breathe in is about 21% oxygen and basically zero carbon dioxide. The air you breathe out? It's still got about 16% oxygen, but now it's a full 4% carbon dioxide. That's a 100-fold increase in CO₂. It's the perfect report card showing how incredibly efficient your lungs are at dumping that waste. And the body's just as clever about how it transports all that CO₂ in the blood to get it to the lungs. It doesn't just dissolve it. Most of it, 70%, gets converted into something called bicarbonate ions. Another chunk, 23%, hitches a ride on hemoglobin, the same molecule that carries oxygen. Only a tiny bit actually dissolves in the blood. It's like having a highly efficient multi-vehicle waste disposal fleet. So how do you manage all this without even thinking about it? You don't. It's all on autopilot, controlled by your brainstem. Think of it like a mission control center that is watching one thing and one thing only, the CO₂ level in your blood. It acts like a hawk. The second that level rises, even just a little, it immediately tells you to breathe faster and deeper to get rid of it. The oxygen sensor? It's there, but it really only kicks in for big emergencies. Now, this system is amazing and tough, but it's not invincible. It's under constant attack from the outside world. And when it starts to fail, the consequences are, well, they're severe. Let's look at a couple of the biggest threats. First up, smoking. This is basically declaring all-out war on your lungs. The smoke paralyzes and then kills the cilia, those little sweeping hairs that clean out all the gunk. Without them, your lungs' cleaning service is just shut down. At the same time, the tar and chemicals cause inflammation that literally dissolves the walls of your alveoli. They merge into these big, useless air pockets. That's emphysema. Your lungs lose that elastic springiness we talked about. And the scale of this is just staggering. According to the World Health Organization, tobacco kills more than 7 million people every single year. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest avoidable danger to your lungs. The other major threat is air pollution, specifically these tiny particles called PM2.5. They're so small they can sneak past all your body's defenses and get lodged deep down in your alveoli. And once they're there, they just cause constant low-grade inflammation. It's like an invisible rest that slowly damages your lungs from the inside out. Okay, so that's pretty scary stuff. But it's not all doom and gloom. The big question is, what can we do about it? The good news is your lungs are incredibly resilient. So let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about how to protect them. All right, here's your 6-step evidence-based guide. Number 1, and this is the big one, don't smoke. Or if you do, make a plan to quit. That protects your cleaning crew and your alveoli. 2, exercise regularly. This strengthens your diaphragm and rib muscles, making that whole vacuum pump work better. 3, practice deep breathing. Really use your full lung capacity. 4, avoid polluted air when you can. Check the air quality index. This helps prevent that invisible rust. 5, get your shots. Vaccinations protect you from infections that can really knock your system for a loop. And finally, number 6, eat a diet full of antioxidants, fruits and vegetables, to help your body fight off the damage from any pollutants that do get in. Look, this whole process is incredible. It's automatic, it's brilliant, and it keeps every part of you alive. It's a system that's built to last a lifetime. But it's vulnerable. So the biggest takeaway here is simple, and it's something you really need to hear. Protect your lungs, because you don't get a second pair.